Good morning, class 10 students. I welcome you all on this online platform provided by Jagrati Classes. Today we are going to do a new topic from our chapter Light. That is, we have started chapter 10th Light. So this video lecture is for class 10th and we are doing chapter 10th, which is Light, Reflection and Refraction. So we have completed with the first topic, which was reflection here. And now today we'll be starting with the next half of the chapter or the next part of the chapter, which is refraction. So in reflection topic we have studied about mirrors. We studied about plane mirrors and the spherical mirrors. Then we studied two categories of spherical mirrors, concave and convex. Then we studied some important concepts that were concave mirror is called converging mirror, whereas convex is known as diverging. Then we also studied the properties of image which is formed by plane mirror. Okay, we discussed 4 properties, and then we discussed some important definitions or terms which are used for spherical mirrors. Then we did is the ray diagrams, which are very important, the optical diagrams for both concave and convex mirror. And then we went on to the topics of mirror formula and magnification. So this completed our topic reflection. In the introduction of reflection, I told you what do you actually understand by reflection and the laws of reflection. So now we are starting with today's class with the new topic, which is refraction from the same chapter, that is chapter 10 in itself. So what is refraction? You can see this is the actual picture representing refraction in reality. And in this picture, if you observe carefully, the ray which is coming, this ray is regarded as the incident ray. And the incident ray is coming from a medium which is air. Okay, so outer medium is air in which the incident ray is coming. Then you have a glass slab, that is a slab made up of glass. So here you have a glass slab. So we can say the medium here is glass. Okay, the medium is glass here. So as you can see that in this phenomenon, you have two different mediums. Whereas when we studied reflection, we say that reflection is bouncing back of light, and the next important term in the definition was into the same medium. So in reflection, where whatever the medium we were taking, it was same. That is, when light ray came from air, then it bounced back to the same medium, that is to the air. But here, as you can see in this diagram, the light ray, the incident ray is coming from the air, but now it is entering a different medium, which is glass. And as a result, because the light ray is entering a different medium, so this light ray, it should have gone, this light ray should have followed its initial path. That is, it should have gone like this. But you can see it is not going, it got bent. Okay. So here this light ray, it got bent. And if I draw a straight line here, then this straight line would be the normal. This is normal. This is the original path where the incident ray should move. But because it is entering a different medium from the previous one, that is, it is entering glass, so it shows certain bending. And this bending of light is only known as refraction. So I hope now the topic of refraction is clear. Refraction can be defined as the bending of light when the light ray enters from one medium to the other medium. Okay. So light ray, upon entering another medium from a different medium, it gets bent or it changes its path. This is the initial path which the incident ray should follow, but it changed its path. So this is called refraction. So for refraction, what you can write is, you can frame the definition, the complete definition. I'll just show you the important points. Okay, like reflection is bouncing back of light ray into the same medium. In a similar manner, refraction would be, refraction involves two different medium. It involves two different medium. The plural of medium is media. Okay, so two different media are involved, and the light ray, when it travels from one medium to the other medium, it changes its path. It changes its path. And this change in path is shown by the bending of light ray. So it changes its path, that is, it bends. So this phenomena, when a light ray enters from one medium to the different other medium, it changes its path, or you can say it gets bent, and this phenomenon is known as refraction of light. Now you can say, see, I have told you that this light ray bent. So for explaining that, it can bend in two conditions. That is, it can bend either towards the normal. Normal is this ray. So either the ray, incident ray, can bend towards the normal. Like in this case, you can see it is moving towards the normal. And you can also have one case where this is your incident ray, this is the normal, this is the original path which it should follow, but because of the difference in medium, refraction would occur and this light ray will bend away from the normal. This is your normal ray, and see, the light ray is going away from the normal. So you have two cases. Either the light ray, here only I can mark you, either the light ray can bend towards the normal. If you see, this is the incident ray and this is the refracted ray. So either it can come towards the normal or it can go away from the normal. So for understanding the different conditions, that when it will bend towards the normal and when it will go away from the normal, you have to understand one important parameter, which is optical density. And accordingly, we'll classify both these mediums. One would be optically denser and the other one would be less denser, which is also referred as rarer medium. So let's start. You have a term, optical density. So because we are not going into the detail of this topic, you can explain optical density. You can imagine it to be same as the linear density, okay, which we have in solids. So density is what? Mass upon volume. I'm not talking now about optical density. I'm telling you the general density term which you have. So the general term density is mass upon volume or mass per unit volume. And if I say, let's suppose I have two cases. This is case first, this is case second. So in case first, the particles are present at some particular finite distance from each other. While in case second, the particles are present very close to each other such that the space between them is very less. Okay? You have less space or no space between the particles in case second compared to case first. So now can you say, considering the general density, which among the following cases, case 1 and case 2, have high density? So we can say here that case second is having high density. So density compared to this, case 1 is having low density here. So the similar concept you can understand for optical density also. Optical density, you can say that the medium which is having particles closer to itself, or the medium which is having less intermolecular space between the particles, it can be said as optically denser medium. Optically denser. While the medium which would be having much space or comparatively high space between its particles, so it would be known as optically rarer medium. So if we compare the optical densities of solid, liquid and gas, these are the three types of medium which you can have. Like in the previous example, we had which medium? We had air and glass as the medium. So this medium air is actually a gaseous medium and this glass is actually a solid medium. So now you can say that which medium, or if we arrange them according to their optical density, then we can say that optical density and the general density have the same order, because in solids you have particles which are very closely packed and they do not have any kind of space between them. So solids are highly dense and therefore they are optically denser compared to the liquids. And when we compare between liquid and gas, then liquids are definitely optically denser because they have less space between the particles compared to the gases which have much space between their particles. So in turn, according to density, solids would be the highest optical density medium compared to gas, which is having the least optical density. Now in our question, in the previous diagram, we were given that one medium is air and the other medium is glass. I told you air means you have a gaseous medium and here you have a solid medium. So we have two rules. When light ray travels from gas is what? Gas is a rarer medium. The medium which has low density, it is called rarer medium. Okay? Optically rarer, as I have written, which is having less density. Optically rarer means it has less optical density. So gas here or air, it can be regarded as the rarer medium, and this glass, which is a solid, this would be optically denser medium. So here in the example of refraction which we have, the light ray is traveling from rarer to denser. So whenever the light ray travels from a rarer medium to the denser medium, then remember the light ray bends away from the normal. And the next rule is, when the light ray will travel from denser to rarer medium, then the light ray will bend towards the normal. So this you have to remember. Then whenever the light ray, how will you show the bending of light? Whenever the light ray is traveling from rarer to denser, then it bends towards the normal. And whenever the light ray is traveling from denser to rarer medium, that is, if in the example the light ray originally traveled from glass to air, then glass here is denser, so this light ray will bend towards, rarer to denser bends towards the normal, and denser to rarer bends away from the normal. So these are the two rules which you have to study, that whenever the light ray travels from a rarer medium to a denser medium, then the light ray bends towards the normal. And whenever this light ray travels from the denser to rarer medium, then this light ray in turn bends away from the normal. And what do you mean by normal? Normal is an imaginary line which is perpendicular to the refracting surface. So normal is that imaginary line which makes an angle 90 degree to the refracting surface, that is to the interface of both the mediums. Interface means boundary. Okay, this is the interface where both the mediums interact. So this is known as interface. And normal is an imaginary line which is at 90 degree to this interface. So these are some of the rules that when the light ray will bend, or how can we decide the direction of bending of light. I hope you understood this. So now this is the diagram in front of you showing refraction. So incident ray, okay, now as we discuss the terms for reflection, similarly we will see for refraction. Incident ray is the ray which strikes on the surface or which strikes on the interface. This region here, this region is known as the interface between two different mediums. The above medium, you can consider this medium to be air, and this medium you can consider here to be water. And we know air and water, if we compare both the mediums, then water here would be optically denser medium and air would be rarer medium. So whenever the incident ray is the ray which strikes on the different interface of the two medium, or which strikes on the interface, then this incident ray, it should go or it should follow this path. As you can see, originally this should follow this kind of path, but due to refraction, due to change in medium, this incident ray bends towards the normal. As you can see in the diagram, it should follow this kind of path, but due to refraction it is getting bent towards the normal, because I told you when the light ray moves from rarer to denser, it bends towards the normal. Okay? When the light ray moves from rarer to denser, it bends towards the normal, and when the light ray travels from denser to rarer, it bends away from the normal. So here, because the light ray is traveling from a rarer medium to a denser medium, it bends towards the normal. After bending, this ray is known as the refracted ray. Okay? Now next is what? Next also, here you have the medium to be water, and outside again the medium is air. So the water is denser compared to air, which is a rarer medium. Firstly, by comparing both these mediums, you have to decide which one is denser, which one is rarer. I already told you the solids. If any solid medium is present, then it would be denser. You have two medium, liquid and gaseous. So in liquid and gaseous, when we compare, then liquid is more denser than the gaseous medium. And in turn here, water would be the denser medium compared to air. Now this light ray, it is traveling from a denser to a rarer medium. So whenever the light ray travels from denser to rarer, then the light ray bends away from the normal. So now you can see here at the interface, okay, the dotted line which is represented here, this dotted line represents the normal ray. Okay, here it is written, see, this dotted line is the normal ray. And this normal ray, here the light should go, this light, the refracted ray, should go like this. But due to change in medium, due to refraction, the light is getting bent. And this time the light is bending, see, it is moving away from the normal. This is the normal ray, and the light is moving away from the normal, because here we are traveling from denser to rarer medium. And when traveling from denser to rarer, the light ray bends away. And in turn you can see this in the diagram. And this ray is also known as emergent ray. Okay? The first ray is known as incident ray, then you have the refracted ray, and then again the ray which comes out is known as emergent ray. And now you have to learn some more concepts here, that we say one important term is there, that is lateral displacement. So this term is very important, lateral displacement. Lateral displacement is what? This incident ray, okay, let's draw this incident ray with a different color. This incident ray which was originally coming, if no refraction occurs, then this incident ray should move in this direction. I am telling you, if this incident ray is striking on any medium, and if no kind of refraction occurs, then this would be, this path which is shown by the blue color, this would be the original path of incident ray. Okay, but see, after undergoing refraction, firstly at this interface and now at this interface, the emergent ray changed its path. Emergent ray is what? Emergent ray is the same incident ray which is going refraction 2 times. And after going refraction, the emergent ray is coming in this direction, and this blue one which I drew here, it represents the original direction of incident ray in absence of refraction. So here you can see that this original incident ray is being deviated at certain distance. Okay, so this distance is called the lateral displacement of incident ray. So for explaining lateral displacement, it is the displacement of incident ray extended, which incident ray which is extended straight. Okay, when you extend this incident ray straight at its original path, then you can see that incident ray and emergent ray has a sort of distance between them, or a kind of displacement, and this displacement is called lateral displacement. So it is the displacement of incident ray extended straight It is the displacement of incident ray extended state relative to the emergent ray. So this is known as lateral displacement. See, then if you get a question, you can make a diagram here also. Let's suppose this is your incident ray. This medium is air, inside medium is glass, and then outside again you have air. Air is a rarer medium, glass is a denser medium, and here also air is a rarer medium. This is the direction of incident ray. Now the incident ray, here we draw a straight line which is the normal, okay? Here we draw a line normal. This incident ray, because it is entering from rarer to denser medium, it should come like this. If no refraction occurs, then it should travel in this manner. But here the incident ray is traveling in this manner now. And this ray is called as the refracted ray. Now this refracted ray, I am again drawing a normal here. It should travel in this direction. See, this should be the original direction of refracted ray, but because of refraction, because of change in medium, the ray deviates away from the normal. So this would be the direction of emergent ray, and this is your extended incident ray. Okay, what we have done is I have extended this incident ray to the last point. This is my extended incident ray. And lateral displacement is what? Lateral displacement is this distance between the incident ray and the emergent ray. So this distance is called lateral displacement. I hope now this is clear. Okay? So now we have understood what is the definition of refraction. I told you bending of light when it enters from one to the next medium. This is the pictorial representation of refraction. And this we have discussed lateral displacement. Now we will be discussing the cause of refraction. And after discussing the cause of refraction, I will be telling you about the laws of refraction as we studied the laws for reflection. We studied two laws for reflection. Here also you will be studying two laws. The one is the same. Okay? Okay, firstly we will discuss what is the cause, and then we will be moving on to the laws of refraction. What is the cause of refraction? We are saying that whenever the light is traveling from one medium to other, with a change in medium, actually what is being changing? So we say that in refraction, I'll be writing it in short. During refraction, what happens? During refraction, the medium changes. So what is the actual or practical effect of this change in medium? Why the light is getting bent? Because we say that when the medium changes, it means the optical density is changing. Because every medium has a particular optical density. So due to change in medium, the optical density changes. And in simple words, you can understand that the change in optical density, actually there is the change in intermolecular space between the particles. So we can say that whenever the medium is changing, it means the intermolecular space which is present between the particles, it is either increasing or decreasing. That is, the intermolecular space is changing. And due to the change in intermolecular space between the particles, what is happening is the speed of light is changing. That is, the speed by which the light ray is traveling in that particular medium, it is getting changed. And how this is getting changed? Whenever the optical density of any medium increases, increase in optical density means the particles are coming closer to each other. Now they have no space for the light to travel, or very little space. So once the optical density increases, it means the speed of light will decrease. Because when the optical density is increasing, now it is difficult for the light ray to travel. Okay? And due to the change in optical density, two phenomena occur. One is the speed of light would change, and when the optical density would increase, then light will take, see, this medium has high optical density. It means the light ray which is coming, it would take more time to travel through this medium. And if it is taking more time, it is meant that this light ray is traveling with a less speed. Because if more time is being taken, it means its speed is very slow. So we can say that here when the optical density increases, then speed of light in that particular medium, it decreases, okay? Because now the light ray takes more time to travel through the medium, so its speed would decrease. And once the speed of light ray would decrease, then we can call it that speed of light ray will also decrease. Then you can also write here that time taken for the light ray to travel will increase, and in turn, to travel through such a denser medium, so to travel through such a denser medium, the light ray has to change its path. And the light ray in turn changes its path. And this change in path is only called as refraction. Refraction is what? Refraction is the bending of light. Bending means change in the path of light ray. And why the light ray is changing its path? Because it has entered a medium which has changed or other kind of optical density. So now it has to decrease its speed. It has to increase its time of travel. That is, it has to make its path, it has to bend. And this bending is known as refraction of light. So this, I have explained you the cause of refraction in a kind of flowchart. Now you can write this whole concept theoretically, okay, in a form of paragraph. But I hope you have understood this, that what is the cause of refraction? Change in the medium of the light. Change in the medium, that is change in optical density, which changes the speed of light, and due to which the light ray has to change its path. And changing path means it has to bend. And now we have already done two conditions of bending. When this light ray would bend towards the normal and when it would bend away from the normal. So this is the cause of refraction. Now moving on to the next laws of refraction. So the first law is same as the law of reflection which we did. That is the incident ray, the normal which is a straight perpendicular imaginary line, and the refracted ray. Incident ray, normal and the refracted ray, they all lie in the same plane. This is exactly similar to the first law of reflection. The next law of refraction is what? There in reflection we call the law to be angle I equals to angle R. Okay, this was valid. This was the second law of reflection. But the second law of refraction is called as Snell's law. And many a times this law is asked that what is Snell's law. So please do remember its name. It is very important. Okay, Snell's law, this law states that the sine of angle of incidence to the, okay, I'll write here, the ratio of, we are taking a ratio of two things. First is sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction remains constant. So this is the second law of refraction. It is also named as Snell's law. This law states that the ratio of sine of angle of incidence. Angle of incidence, you all know, it is denoted by small I. What do you mean by the term sine here? So in your next class, you will be reading a branch of mathematics which is called trigonometry. And in trigonometry, you will be dealing with certain words, certain parameters which are put before angle. So whenever you have angles, okay, I am telling you a new branch of maths which you will be reading in your classes, that angle of incidence, which is angle I. So before these angle, what we put is, we put certain parameters which are known as sine, cos, tan, then you have cosec, secant, cot. So these are the different parameters which you will be reading in mathematics, and then sine of angle I is represented as sine I, and you have to take the ratio. So ratio of sine of angle of incidence with sine of angle of refraction is equal to a constant value. And in this manner, you can depict mathematically the second law of refraction or the Snell's law. Okay? So we'll be dealing about this more. See, what you have is, according to the law, you have sine of angle I, ratio sine of angle R is constant. And this constant, the constant value is given a new name or a new word which is called refractive index. Okay? So this constant value is the refractive index, and refractive index is represented either by the letter small n, or you can even use a letter which is similar to U, but it is not U, it is known as mu. This is known as what? This is known as the letter mu. So let's suppose I'll try to explain you this. This you have a interface, above air is present and downwards you have a glass. Then what you do is, this is your incident ray, this one is the normal. The incident ray, when it enters from a rarer to denser medium, it should go straight, but because the medium is changing, then it would get bent, and the bend would be towards the normal. See, the original path of incident ray was this was the original path, but now it bent towards the normal because it is entering from rarer to denser medium. So this bending is known as refraction. Now what is the angle of incidence? The angle of incidence is the angle between incident ray and normal. What is the angle of refraction? The angle of refraction is angle between this refracted ray and the normal. This angle is known as angle of refraction. So here we are saying that sine of angle I and sine of angle R, if you find out, then it would be constant. Let's suppose this is my first angle of incidence. So I am doing sine of angle of incidence first and sine of my first angle of refraction. Now what I do is, in the similar condition, I increase, this is the first angle, okay? Now I am changing the angle. Now the angle of incidence becomes this. So this would be my I2, that is the second angle of incidence. So accordingly, whenever you change the angle of incidence, in a similar manner, the angle of refraction would also change. Now this incident ray, it should have gone like this, but it showed a bending in its path. And this is the second refracted ray what you have. So what would be the angle of refraction? The angle between refracted ray and the normal. So angle between refracted ray and the normal, this would be the second angle of refraction. Okay, so if I find out the sine of second angle of incidence and sine of second angle of refraction, then I would get the same value which I got in the first case. So we are saying that whenever the medium is same, remember this Snell's law is applicable only when both the mediums which you are considering, or only when the medium, the pair of medium remains same. See, I have written here pair of medium. Both the mediums should not be same, because if both the mediums are same, no kind of refraction would occur. Refraction only occurs when you have two different mediums. See, I have taken, what is the cause of refraction? Due to change in medium, refraction occurs. So here I have written this pair word is very important. Do not consider that Snell's law is applicable when mediums are same. No, I am not saying that both the mediums should be air or both should be glass. I am saying pair of medium, which is if you are taking one medium air, the other glass, then this Snell's law would be applicable if I am considering, like in this example. See, I kept the medium air and glass while I was doing my first experiment. Then also while I was performing the second experiment, I only changed angle of incidence and angle of refraction. I did not change this pair of medium. So this I want to explain you that when the pair of medium is same and then you are changing the angle of incidence, in turn the angle of refraction is getting changed. But the ratio which you will obtain in both the cases, this ratio would come out to be same for both. That is, this ratio you can call it to be constant, okay? But if I change the medium, here instead of glass, if I take water now, so if I take water, then this pair of medium is changed, so Snell's law would not be applicable. That is, both the answers will not come similar. So this is Snell's law. And now we have that this constant value is actually given a name, refractive index. So now we'll be seeing what do you mean by the term refractive index. So refractive index, I told you this is denoted by the alphabets small n, or you can even use the alphabet mu. Refractive index, it gives you the amount of or the magnitude of refraction, okay? It provides us with the magnitude of refraction. That is, you can say it provides the extent of bending of light. Till which extent will the light bend? You can decide it with the help of refractive index. Extent of bending of light. Now next is what? The next point which we can write here is, it gives the amount or magnitude it provides. Now there are certain formulas for refractive index. So refractive index is always taken as a relative quantity. That is, if I write N12, then this would give me the refractive index of my first medium with respect to the second one. So refractive index, N12 shows refractive index of medium 1 with respect to medium second. And if I write N21, this means N21 gives you the value of refractive index of which medium? Of medium second with respect to medium first. So refractive index of medium second with respect to medium 1. And now what is the formula to calculate refractive index? So N12, I told you during refraction what happens is, during refraction you have a change in speed of light, okay? During refraction the speed of light is changing. So what we can write here is, refraction is denoted by the speed of light. So it is the ratio of speed of light in medium C. More will be the refractive index, less would be the speed of light. So here if you are having one written first, then you will write in the formula speed of light in medium second divided by the speed of light in medium first. So this would be the formula for refractive index when you have to calculate the refractive index of first medium with respect to second. And if you have to calculate the refractive index N21, then N21 would be speed of light in medium 1 divided by the speed of light in medium 2. So this kind of refractive index, when you are calculating refractive index of one medium compared to the next, such kind of refractive index are called relative refractive index. Okay? But you have one more term which is called absolute refractive index. That is how you can find the refractive index of a particular medium. So the formula for absolute is, absolute means when medium 1 is considered to be air or vacuum. Because if you consider medium, any one medium to be air or vacuum, then the speed of light In air or vacuum, it remains the same. That is 3 into 10 raised to the power 8 meter per second, or 3 into 10 raised to the power 10 centimeter per second. So if we consider air or vacuum, then the speed of light always in air or vacuum is 3 into 10 raised to the power 8. So if I need to find the absolute refractive index of any medium, what I'll do is, like I want to find the absolute refractive index of glass with respect to air. So one medium would be glass, next would be air. So the formula would be speed of light in air divided by speed of light in the next medium, which is your glass. So speed of light in air, because it has a fixed quantity, it is denoted by c, and speed of light in glass would be v. Similarly, for relative refractive index, the formula speed of light in medium 2 is shown by v2, and speed of light in medium 1 is regarded by v1. So this is the formula of relative refractive index, while this gives you absolute refractive index. Absolute means when you find the refractive index of one medium and the other medium is what? Air or vacuum. Why we are taking air as standard or vacuum as standard? Because in these medium, the speed of light always remains the same, and hence you can calculate absolute refractive index by this formula. And then you can say that, like if you see, there is a table which is given in your books where you are given the values of absolute refractive index. You do not learn to memorize the table, but you can observe that if the refractive index of any medium, like suppose if water, air, okay, you have certain value 1.33 something, and for refractive index of glass with respect to air, you will have an approximate value of 1.52. So by observing the refractive index of two medium, you can calculate which medium would be optically denser and by how much. So here, more the value of refractive index, as we can see that refractive index of glass is greater than refractive index of water, air, then we can say that this glass is optically denser medium compared to water. Water is optically rarer in this case compared to refractive index of glass. So this completes the topic of refractive index. Now in our next class, we will be doing the further topics. I hope this video lecture is clear, but still if you have any kinds of doubt, you can contact us anytime. Thank you for joining today's class. Stay home, stay safe, keep following us, and keep studying. Thank you.